Hello and welcome to the Anime Duo. I'm Cameron Morris.
And I'm Jack Thomas.
This episode we're going to be talking about the anime movie Paprika, which is a 2006 film. It's based on I always have trouble with these names. Yasushi Tatsusi's, just going to call it that, a 1993 novel of the same name. Basically, the film. Do you want to talk about the film a bit, like
Sure,
the premise of the film?
Right, so the film is about a science kind of company that
Would you call them a laboratory, or are they more like a
Well,
physics thing?
I'd call them more of a laboratory.
Yeah.
Really. Right. Well, I think they excel in psychology.
Yeah, because they're very much psychology based, or maybe the laboratory that we look at in the movie is based on. Yeah.
And they make this product called the DC Mini, which is basically a device that lets people share dreams, and it lets them be viewed afterwards as well.
Yeah. The way they do this is like they use this woman called Paprika, who now we both watched the film a couple of times and analysed it. We still can't figure out, like, leave in the comments below what you think. Is Paprika like not a person, or is she a program? Because it's hinted towards it being a program that lives inside people. Like she's part of the DC Mini. She's what people use to explore people's dreams. And the DC Mini has many different things because it can, like, its main purpose is to look at people's dreams, but then also people can enter dreams. Like, it's very much Inception-ish, isn't it? Yeah. But this came before Inception.
It's a pretty cool device.
Yeah. And the film basically introduces you to the device through this detective.
Toshima... No, that's the wrong person.
Toshima Katana.
Oh, it is. Okay.
He's basically a detective who has these nightmares, and he's trying to figure out why the nightmares are plaguing him, and also that he's trying to figure out a murder or something, isn't it?
Yeah, he's on a case.
But his nightmares getting in the way of it, so he orders this woman called Paprika to come and help him, give him like psychiatry help and stuff.
Yeah.
And this is how we introduced to Paprika. So overall, the character of Paprika. Let's just go into that because she's like the main character. I didn't know what to think of her because there are times where like you like her, where she's very upbeat character. She's very nice, like she's just fun to watch. Hard to hit. But then there's points in the film where you just, I don't know. I kind of felt like they characterized her as a bit too oblivious or too unserious, because what she's dealing with, she's a program that helps people.
It's quite a serious matter.
And then she's in people's dreams and she's just pissing around with their mind and stuff.
It's a bit weird.
And another thing going on characters, Paprika is stored inside this woman's head. She's
Suko Chiba?
Yeah, Natsuko. I think that's her name.
Chiba.
Yeah, they just call her Shiba though.
Okay, yeah.
Shiba's character is like the opposite of Paprika, which I kind of like.
She's quite serious and not as playful.
It's kind of like what would you call it? The Jekyll and Hyde thing, where like when she becomes Paprika, she becomes a completely different character.
The opposites.
But the problem with this is that I kind of felt like they didn't play on enough that they were the same character.
Yeah, they kind of left out a lot that It just showed hints, really. And
it
never really said that this is Paprika or anything like that.
That's one of, like, I don't want to come out and say that, I know this is pretty early in the review, but I did enjoy the movie.
Oh, yeah.
But it has a lot of things where, like, it doesn't explain, it's not enough exposition. And I get that they wanted to get into the story, which we'll get to in a bit. But it needed a bit more exposition, because it was very hard to understand. Maybe it's just because I'm a bit stupid,
Well, I understood Inception more than this.
Yeah.
So,
So that's
Inception's not the easiest to grasp movie, but...
But going back to the thing with Paprika is, like, with Paprika and Chiba, they were obviously the same person, but it didn't tell you, like, what the limitations were. Because, like, you think, okay, so Chiba is a human form, and then when she goes into the dream, she becomes Paprika. But then you realize that Paprika can be in the human world as well. So, like, does she turn into Chiba?
It's confusing.
Yeah.
It doesn't explain how Chiba created Paprika.
Yeah, as well. Like, is she part of the DC Mini? Or did she come along, like, they created the DC Mini and Paprika's just like, hey, like, what the hell?
Where'd she come from?
Oh, well, that's that, I guess.
I would say that maybe Chiba made it in her spare time, because she doesn't seem like a stupid person.
No.
She's quite a smart woman, so she might know.
Well, she's the three of them. There's the three main characters are obviously Chiba, the old guy. He's kind of like the
What's his name now? Shima's last name.
Dr. Konakawana. I don't know. But basically, I'll just call him the head doctor.
Yeah. Okay, head doctor.
He's kind of like the boss of the operations. He didn't invent the Mini, but he kind of decides what they use it and stuff and how they use it. Yeah. And then obviously there's the guy who created the Mini, which is Tokita. And Tokita's kind of like this hugely morbidly obese guy. I really liked his character. I thought he was. Because he does two things. He's a really good character to sympathize for.
Yeah.
Because he's a genius, but obviously because of his weight and stuff, he has a lot of hate and stuff.
He's also quite childish too.
Yeah, and he's very like they go into his apartment at one point, and it's filled with like toys and like animes and stuff.
Isn't that the other guy?
I thought they both kind of have the same.
Oh right, I
yeah,
see. I didn't know that.
Oh, didn't they? Maybe I'm wrong, but
it makes sense.
He is definitely like a childish character, isn't he?
Yeah.
But also he's good for the comic relief as well, because they play on the fact that he's morbidly obese but very lovable. Yeah. Like he's got that thing where like he gets stuck in the elevator, and he. I should have mentioned this at the start. There will be spoilers during this. Like we don't want to like if you want to watch this movie spoiler free. Yeah. We haven't spoiled anything yet.
No,
but yeah.
It's just the basics of the plot.
So what do you think of Takata and Chiba's relationship then? Because it's hinted at. I mean, for those who didn't care about the spoilers and haven't seen the movie, we find out at the end that Chiba actually liked Takata like through the entire movie. Yeah, spoilers. But the relationship for me felt very forced. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I didn't pay much attention toward the end of the movie because my brain was quite fried. But, it made sense at the end, but I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah, I kind of liked how they didn't come out and say it. Like a lot of things, they'll be too obvious. Like they'll have moments and stare at each other. It's like they're gonna end up together. It's clear. But
it's not hinted at all.
Yeah, it's
really.
There are little things.
If you look back, you can see it. But,
and they do that at the end where they flash back to all the moments, and you're like, oh yeah. You feel stupid. And you're just like, oh damn it. Even the second time you watch it, you're like, they ended up together. Oh yeah, wait.
I've seen this before.
Should we get into the main plot of the story then, where this gets really weird? Okay,
that'll be good.
So the idea is that there's a scientist who worked on this project with Chiba and Takata and the head doctor guy. But he's kind of gone rogue. He's gone up missing, and they think that he's just got lost and he's gone mad and stuff. And then all of a sudden, weird stuff starts to happen. Like the master becomes possessed in his dream.
Window.
Yeah, he jumps over the window and he barely survives. So they think that he's using the DC Mini as a what do you call it? Like a terrorism device?
I'm not sure because I don't think he wanted to use it as a device to, get personal gain because, he's a scientist, so he's obviously well off. But, I don't know, because I didn't really get that much.
It's hint. This is another problem with exposition where they explain. You find out that he isn't actually the one doing this. He's just as crazy as these people he's infecting. Yeah. And the DC Mini is creating this weird world where there's like a parade. And it's on all the posters and stuff, where there's a bunch of toys and stuff. And it's basically his mind all jumbled up in this big parade walking down the street.
That's like his dream, right?
Yeah,
and it's like put into everybody else's head.
Yeah, I think they get sucked into like his head, and they get in, and every time they suck in, it adds more to the parade. It adds like their things, which I thought was a cool concept, because it's like you've seen people go into other people's dreams, but it's what happens when two dreams come together. This happens again with the detective, where the detective's dream, he's in a cinema watching movies. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the doors open and the parade just bursts through and just consumes everyone. Yeah,
it's a pretty cool scene.
That's one thing with this movie I really enjoyed, the visual effects.
Oh, yeah.
The animation was amazing, especially with the music.
The music's great, too. It's got a cracking soundtrack.
Yeah, together they make kind of like this very surreal but futuristic feel. Because you have the times out of the dreams, where it's very futuristic, it's very, it's Tokyo, it's very, but then as soon as you enter the dreams, it's very colourful and lots of... How do you describe the music? It's like...
It's...
it's kind of carnival, isn't it?
Very, it's really sort of surreal and kind of, distorted.
Yeah. But with that comes along with, like, it kind of takes you away from the story, because, like, obviously that's a good thing in some ways, where you're watching
like a pace breaker,
you're watching the movie, you're trying to comprehend it, and then you just have these breaks where you're like looking at all the spectacles,
looking at pretty colours,
you're like,
weird music.
Okay, let's calm down. Let's try to comprehend this movie while looking at the pretty colours.
Yeah.
But then again, it's kind of it's also, it takes you away from it sometimes. I don't know if you had that.
Yeah, I had that. It's like, it just sort of comes on and it's like quite sudden, and you're all like, oh, colours.
Colours, okay.
Yeah, there we go.
But I understood why they did it, but they could have introduced it better. Because you literally just have the master jump out of the window, and then all of a sudden he's on this parade, and you're just like, what's going on?
There's all colours and whatnot. Well, it is a Japanese movie. So
yeah, we don't want to be discriminatory, but that happens a lot.
Yeah, not complaining either.
Yeah.
It's always good.
Moving on to when they actually enter the dream then, when Paprika goes in and we find out that this guy...
The chairman? No?
No, the chairman is controlling... He's kind of... Because did you get that? Where the chairman's controlling him?
I don't know, because Himuro, who stole the DC Mini...
Yeah.
And then jumped off the thing. Spoilers.
Yeah.
I thought he died at that point.
Yeah, so did I. I thought he was just
he's like in hospital, isn't he? For the rest of the movie, pretty much.
Yeah.
And later on, what's his name? Tokita puts the DC Mini on his head.
Yeah. And he tries to save him, but then also he gets... It seems like the DC Mini... Like, it's good. It helps you go into dreams. But as soon as, like, you use it and you're not trained, like, you get sucked into this thing. And it's kind of like a compilation, because you have Tokita, you have the short guy, who I can't remember the name of. Is it Himuro?
It's his friend.
Yeah.
Himuro,
Yeah. Himuro and Tokita, they're both in this dream. And then the detective is slowly falling into it. Let's talk about the detective a little bit, because we both agree that the detective's probably the strongest character.
Yeah, definitely. He's quite a... I did think he would be the lead character.
Yeah, it is played up as that at the start, but then you realise he's kind of the side character.
Yeah, he just turns up every now and then.
Yeah, but he is a very driving factor. Yeah. Like, every time something bad happens, he seems to be there and seems to drive the story on.
He has quite a strong part toward the end of the movie, too.
Yeah. What do you think about his relationship with Paprika? Because that was a bit weird.
Well, at the start, he's all like, when will I see you again? And stuff.
Yeah, and you think he kind of... I couldn't tell if he was kind of like he liked Paprika herself, or he liked the idea of his dreams going away.
I think he probably took comfort in it because she was helping make his dreams grow more than just liking her in general.
Yeah.
Because he says that she's the girl of his dreams.
Yeah, and then...
Literally. When he's talking to...
That's a good point, actually. I didn't see that when I watched the movie.
When he's talking to his friend from college, the old guy.
Yeah.
The short guy. Forgot his name.
The head guy.
Yeah.
I think even though the main story arc of this is the chairman. I mean, I'm talking about this as if you guys have seen the movie. So, but if you haven't, basically you find out that there's a chairman who's kind of, he's supplying them with money, but he's very withdrawn. He doesn't like the project. He doesn't like the idea of the DC Mini.
When you first see him, it's sort of like Professor X.
Yeah, he looks exactly like him as well. It's quite funny. But you find out that he wants to use the DC Mini to get his legs back because he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And he kind of wants to hijack the project and use it for personal gain. And then slowly, as the movie goes on, you see that the dreams using the DC Mini are seeping into the real world. And we get kind of this hybrid of... It's a very spectacular story. That's one of the things. You've got to extend your disbelief.
Yeah, definitely. Otherwise you won't have a clue what's going on.
Yeah. But I like that. I like that it didn't really think it needed to go, okay, this is how this would happen. But also, it's very much, what would you say? It's very... It does this thing where, like, it explains a lot of things. It explains the science behind the DC Mini, and then it doesn't explain the science about a lot of other things.
It leaves room for you to sort of chip in your own sort of opinion, kind of.
I guess that's true. I guess that's a good thing as well.
Yeah, it makes it more, individual for each person who watches it, which is quite a good thing to do with movies.
Because obviously, like, we have different opinions about it. Whatever, I had a point that I was going with this. Oh, yeah, that's it. With this big story, this big, seeping into Earth and stuff and everything going mad, I still think the most interesting plot of the movie is the detectives.
Yeah, I like the detective a lot. It was... As I said earlier, it's kind of like, it seems like it's the main point at the start of the movie, because it's like him and his dream.
Yeah.
And the start dream, like, plays through twice, or maybe 3 times, I'm not sure, but it's a good dream. Yeah, it's quite weird, and
I like how we familiarize ourselves with that. So when we keep coming back to it, we keep noticing the changes and the differences. With that, you get the guy that he's chasing. Basically, you find out that there's a guy he's chasing through the entire thing, and you think that he's the bad guy, but then you realise that that's actually because a lot of this the detective storyline is to do with movies and detective work, and it's kind of merging them two. And you realise that they were actually, when he was in high school, he was making a movie about detectives with his friend. The friend who he kind of left the friend. That's where the whole the dreams are about.
And they never finished the movie.
Yeah.
So.
And he feels regretful about that.
Kind of comes back to him.
I get why it was a subplot, because it's not really enough to extend
like a whole
to
movie.
Yeah. But it's still one of the most interesting things, because he feels bad for it, but he needed, to go on, because he enjoyed it.
It's nice as well, because that part of the plot with the, him not finishing the movie and stuff, it's kind of, referred to throughout it in like little chunks.
Yeah.
Which makes it easier to,
because it kind of draws you away from this big epic story that's happening.
It's like a little aside kind of. Yeah. As you said. Yeah, it's really cool.
I really thought it also helped wrap up the movie, because even at the end of the movie where we have this big wrap up, this big kind of, this is the end now, we still also, like most movies, have like the little bit of the end where it's kind of the wrap up.
Yeah.
And the movie isn't really finished until he resolves himself.
Yeah.
Where he sees like a vision of his friend. And he says sorry, like kind of metaphorically. It's weird, but it's a touching moment. It's probably the best bit in.
It's a nice part. It like wraps it up nicely.
Yeah.
Just.
Going on to the bits with Paprika, and especially when it seeps into the city.
Yeah.
It's the first time we see Chiba and Paprika as two different people, because obviously Paprika is able to.
They're both there.
Yeah.
It's all like wait.
They're able to. I got that bit. That was the first bit. I felt proud of myself. I was like, I get that because it's a dream world and a real world in the thing.
That's why.
Oh, you get it out, yeah.
Now I get it. I didn't. I watched it though.
Because the dream and the human world is crossing over.
So there'll be two.
Yeah, so that allows Paprika and Chiba to talk.
Because she never really crosses before that. She's just in windows and stuff.
Yeah, and they kind of see each other and they have short conversations.
It's kind of to show that Chiba kind of like has the alter ego that she talks to herself,
That's a good idea, though. What if, like, Paprika is her? Like, not even someone different. It's her, but in her brain and, like, very different. But what I found interesting about this bit is when you finally see them, they're separate. Like, they're proper set. It's not even, like, windows and stuff. They're completely
both standing there.
Yeah. And they don't like each other. They really don't like each other. I thought that was a really good bit where they, like, start arguing and they have such competing personalities.
Big time.
It plays with the idea of, like, bipolarness, where she wants to save the city and stuff, but she's still very... This is when we get introduced to the fact that she likes Takata, and she runs after Takata. And then this is where the movie just gets completely weird. Because what happens is Takata has turned into what he is in his head, which is a robot.
Yeah, a really weird looking robot.
Yeah, which I feel is a cool metaphor, because it feels like he's having fun, but he also feels like he's being used. Yeah. Like because he's a robot, he's just being used for people's idea. At least that's what I took from it.
Yeah, I didn't, but now I will.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to tell you what to think.
No, it's okay.
But then we also get the fact that he likes Chiba likes Takata, so she goes after him to try and save him. And then it just gets really weird, where she climbs inside him as a robot. Then they have a battle. They fight it out. Like in every good Japanese movie, they fight a giant robot versus human fight.
Yeah.
And then they make up, hug, and then the chairman becomes giant, doesn't he? Yeah, I remember that.
Stomping around the city. Like
the chairman gets legs. In this dream world, he starts basically sucking up the entire city, which I didn't understand.
I didn't get it, really.
Then, is it Chiba or is it Paprika? It's Chiba, isn't it? Yeah, Paprika actually doesn't do anything at the end of the movie. No. She's just running around like a headless chicken. And then Chiba, after fighting with Takata and announcing that she loves him, and then she sucks up half of the other city and then fights him, then eats him. It's such a just... This is my main problem with the film. They have really good characters with really good concepts and really good atmosphere, colour and animation, music. But it just feels like they got to the end of the movie, they're just like... just let them eat him. Like they couldn't think of a way to defeat the chairman, so they're like, Chiba eats him, and then she eats him. And
I watched Godzilla once, so
yeah,
let's go for something like
that. It's almost like they took the writers, the writers who have written this movie out for this one section and brought in some like kids. Like, what should he do? Eat him. Okay,
sure.
So I really didn't like the wrap up of that story.
Yeah,
because then it flashes.
Well, it makes sense because it's merging of reality and dreams. But
I get that, but.
It's a lot.
Everything else in the dreams, they kind of symbolize something. So, like, the detective, he was always watching movies, and he went to that bar as well, where it felt very noir, which went with his character.
Yeah.
So, even though it's...
And all.
And even though it's surreal, it still feels very connected to the characters.
Yeah.
And then in Takata's dream, he's a robot, which obviously I took from that. Even if you didn't take that from what I took from it, you can still see it. Fat Mitch.
I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah. It takes his personality.
It does make sense. Yeah. Because that's the kind of person he is.
Yeah. But then it gets to this bit and it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I myself couldn't think of any way they could have wrapped it up either.
Yeah.
So maybe they got to a point where I was just like,
just
how
does
does this
for something
end?
completely, just to wrap it up kind of thing.
I don't think it ruins it. I mean, if you
No, it doesn't ruin it. It's a good movie.
suspend your disbelief, then you can kind of like, you're like, all right, it happens. It doesn't take away from the movie. Plus, the real ending of the movie, like the last, I don't know, that is kind of the real ending, but the last end of the movie is with the detective and his wrap up, which I thought was much better. Yeah, so you can kind of ignore it.
Yeah, because that kind of is at the very end, and so you kind of take it as the real ending.
Overall, if like I said, where you don't take too much, you don't get taken too much out of the movie by the problems. You can enjoy the movie. I enjoyed the movie for the characters and the concepts. What do you think of it then overall?
Well, I really enjoyed the soundtrack. It's the first thing I noticed.
Yeah. It is a really good soundtrack.
It was really sort of different and quite unique, and it was just very different, really.
Yeah,
it's nice to listen to in general. I liked all the characters. Found them all quite sturdy. And the plot was good too.
Except maybe for the chairman. I don't know about you, but...
Yeah, Professor X is a bit...
I get that they just needed a generic villain, but that's what he was.
He was a super generic villain,
He had a motivation, which is more than so.
Yeah.
He just wanted his legs
I'm just evil because I'm evil. But yeah, it was it was all good. I really enjoyed it. As you said, the last scene with the giant...
eating of the face.
Yeah, eating of the face and whatever. That was a bit,
It has some moments like that throughout, but that's probably the most prominent.
Yeah, like the scene with we haven't mentioned the other character, the
the henchman's...
Yeah, the henchman's crony kind of.
Alright, let's mention that just because you can't watch this movie without going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
The henchman has kind of like a crony. He's kind of like...
What's his name now?
I don't think I wrote that down.
He's here somewhere. His name's Dr. Mori Osana.
Mori Awesome, then.
Mario?
So Mario Awesome.
Mario Awesome, right.
Mario Awesome is basically the chairman's second in command.
Yeah.
He's like the guy who infiltrates the...
he infiltrates.
He's a dick,
basically. Yeah, pretty much.
I didn't like that about his character. He's just a dick.
Yeah, he's in love with Chiba as well, isn't he? And
which...
a bit of a love triangle, kind of.
I'd say love triangle, but... It's more like...
a one-way love triangle.
Yeah, because...
He's just sort of there, outside the triangle.
Yeah, he's looking into the line. He's like, can we be a triangle? They're like, no, go away. We don't like you.
And he has that, like, natural kind of hatred for Takata.
Yeah. It was weird. He kind of
clashed personalities.
I didn't like how his character was more like... He just felt like he had to be there because the chairman didn't have legs.
Yeah.
Like, because the chairman needed the motivation of, I can't move. He needed a guy...
Someone to walk around for him, pretty much.
Basically.
Yeah.
His character, though, did pay off at the end, where he's bleeding.
Yeah.
And he crawls into Paprika, to Chiba's office. Do you remember that scene?
Oh, and he's like got his hand.
He's got the blood hand.
I don't know who that was. I was like, why is there blood on the window?
Yeah, I think it's a really cool scene.
How did he stop bleeding?
I don't know. I can't remember. All I remember is that the chairman got defeated. Oh no, the chairman stabs him, doesn't he?
Oh right.
In the bed.
Yeah.
And then he crawls over, and he's like, "No, you can't do it." Oh,
that's when the dreams start merging.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know how that happens. I guess it's just if you stab this guy, the world ends. That's just...
Don't stab that guy, pretty much.
Even though he's a dick.
He's a complete tool, but his character had to be there,
Yeah.
So, he was an okay character. I like the scene as well, where he sort of puts his hand into Paprika's stomach.
Yeah.
And sort of opens her up, removes her face, and then pulls out Chiba.
It really feels... I mean, I get the whole... Yes, he likes Chiba, so we need to show that... He doesn't like Paprika.
Yeah, that scene as well, the really weird one, where he sort of plunges his hand through an area. That sort of showed for the first time properly that Paprika is Chiba,
it was the first one where it was very much like this person isn't... They're kind of the same person, but they're not. Like, he likes Chiba and he hates Paprika.
Yeah.
So you need to realise that they're completely different persons.
Yeah.
Even if they are the same person.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, I think I enjoyed the movie. It wouldn't be something that I put on my shelf, or buy or give any money to.
Yeah.
I'm glad I watched it because
it's very cheap.
Yeah.
Which is good. So if you want a cheap, weird movie to watch...
If you're into, like, those big, like, high-concept movies, like, where it's just like, have you ever thought, what if this? And you're just like, what the fuck? Then, yeah, I'd recommend giving it a watch, but I wouldn't recommend buying it unless you're a huge fan of...
Yeah, unless you really feel that you'd like it.
Yeah. Definitely by the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
At least listen to it.
The soundtrack's well worth getting.
I think I'm going to rate it, I'd say about 6.5 out of 10.
Really?
I would have given it a 7 if it wasn't for the ending.
Yeah.
Because I really felt like it was going to be a 7, and then as soon as that happened, I was just like, it's a bit sloppy. What about you?
Well, overall, I really enjoyed the movie. Not as much as I've enjoyed other movies of the same kind of type.
Yeah, the high concept. Right?
Yeah, like the big anime kind of, weirdness. But I did enjoy it quite a bit, so I'd probably have to give it a 7 because the ending didn't bug me that much because I'm kind of used to it.
Fair enough. I'm pretty new. You've been watching anime for a lot longer than me.
So, it's almost second nature now. People eating each other. So
happens all the time. I see it on the street.
Yeah, I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
Alright, awesome. Remember that we're going to be doing this once a month. So if you want to watch the animes and with us, watch the reviews before we review them. Watch the animes before we review them.
We'll let you know.
Yeah, we'll let them know
what we're going to be doing next month.
Yeah, so next month we're moving away from the movie and we're going to be doing the first series of Blue Exorcist, which is a new anime coming out. It's called Anno no Exorcist sometimes.
I think the first series is the only series out at the moment. I think
it's only subbed, isn't it? It's not being dubbed.
It's subbed, so if you don't like watching it in Japanese, then don't watch it.
Yeah, but that's the one we're going to be talking about next week. And if you want to, you can post a video response to this video during this month. Right. So like a month from now, we'll be doing the review.
Right.
And if you want to do a review yourself and tell us your opinion and want them to be read out on the show, put it in the comments below to this video, or if you're listening to this podcast, email it to animeduo@manonfirefilms.com.
That's what you should do.
Yes. So remember, this will be coming out on the 15th, and so the next episode will be coming out on the 15th, and so on and so forth.
That's how we're planning on doing it. So,
I think that's pretty much everything.
Well, yeah, it's been a pleasure, Cameron.
It's good. We're shaking hands. You can't see, but we are shaking hands.
You can pretend. You can see.
Remember to watch Blue Exorcist before. Sorry, my mind completely blanked.
Basically, just watch Blue Exorcist before the 15th. Next month.
All right.
Or the month after next.
Yes. Indeed.
So 15th sometime.
Okay. Well,
hurry up and wrap it up.
That was our producer. We'll see you in the next month. Bye. Bye.